Center in Jerusalem, the hospital. We're going to talk about just a historic video within regards to the hospital in of its own. It was opened right at the start of the 20th century, so I thought what an opportune time here. We're in the hospital and we are exploring. We recorded a video within regards to the history of the Miskabel Dach hospital, so I thought we'll speak about Shaarei Zedek Medical Center, obviously based in Jerusalem, also known as Americaz, Rephu'i Shaarei Zedek. Obviously, it was originally a large teaching hospital in Jerusalem, established in 1902, and obviously affiliated with the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Let's just say, I think currently there's as many as 1,000 beds. It's reported over. I don't know the exact statistics or not. That was the first large district general hospital to be located in the western portion of Jerusalem. That's when at the time it was founded, and today it's the city's fastest growing hospital and the only major medical facility in the city's center. In the old Yishuv of Jerusalem, there were not many hospitals, and due to conflicts between the various groups of German Jews, they were left without a hospital. And because of this situation, the German and Dutch expatriate community in Jerusalem decided to establish their own hospital under the patronage of the German Empire at the time. As part of this effort, the Committee for the Establishment of a Jewish Hospital in Jerusalem was founded and presided over by various Rabbanim. I think Rabbi Seligman Ber Bamberger and subsequently by Rabbi Marcus Lemon, respectively. I think it was in November 1884, all the way back, the committee sent some of their name, Abraham Grunbaum, along with Abraham Rose, on behalf of the Pikidim and a Markalim organization to explore the possibility of purchasing a building for the hospital. According to some sources, the land on which old Shaarei Zedek Hospital was acquired, was acquired as part of this endeavor. The initiative gained originally momentum with the arrival in the country of a young ultra-Orthodox doctor named Dr. Moshe Wallak, who we'll speak about in a minute. He came as an emissary of the Jewish community from Frankfurt, from Germany. After gaining experience in medical work in the old city and operating a private clinic, Dr. Wallach joined the initiative to establish the hospital and went to Germany to raise funds and obtain German imperial patronage at that point in time. Now, following the success of Dr. Wallach's fundraising campaign, he would actually take part in at that stage in time. I think he was able to, it was a very, very successful mission, let's just say. They raised a lot of money, I think, at that point in time. The hospital was built. After the Ottoman Turks, they would give permission in the 1890s, and there was funding from European donors. The hospital was built on Jaffa Road, 2 miles outside the old city. The design was by German architect Theodor Sandel, I think that, and its opening ceremony actually took place on January the 27th, 1902. We're talking about 123 and a half years ago, approximately here from time recording. Dr. Moshe Wallach was the director from then until the year 1947, a staggering 45 years, approximately 2 generations, that is. Someone named Schwester Selma lived in the hospital and cared for abandoned children. And the building in Beit Vegan was inaugurated in 1980. Remember, Beit Vegan is an area we've visited on this channel on various occasions before and filmed. Now let's speak a bit about Dr. Moshe Moritz Wallach. He was born in 1866, December, and passed away 8th of April 1957. He was a German Jewish physician and pioneering medical practitioner in Jerusalem. He was a founder of the Shaarei Zedek Hospital in Jaffa Road. 45 years would direct it, introducing modern medicine to the impoverished and disease-plagued citizenry, accepting patients of all religions and offering free medical care to indigents. He was so closely identified with the hospital that it became known as Wallach's Hospital. It is very interesting. Now, he was a strictly Torah religious observant Jew. He was an activist of the Agudat Yisrael Orthodox Jewish movement, and I think he was buried in a small cemetery adjacent to the hospital. It's reported over. Yes, so he was, I believe, one of 7 children born to Joseph Wallach. Joseph Wallach was born in the year 1841, passed away in 1921. He was a textile merchant originally from Euskirchen, and Marianne Levy from Munsterfield. His parents, I think, moved to the Cologne following their marriage in 1863, and Joseph Wallach was actually a founder of the Adat Yeshurin, the Cologne Orthodox community, which he later served as president. Now, we don't really explore the history so much of the Ashkenazi countries here on this channel, but it's always good to visit over here and find out some of what went on over there. So it makes a nice change. In his youth, Dr. Wallach would attend the Friedrich Women Gymnasium Cologne and a Jewish school run by the Cologne Orthodox community. He studied medicine at the University of Berlin, interesting, and University of Würzburg, and received his Doctor of Medicine degree in 1889. Come 1890, he was chosen by Frankfurt-based Jewish Conference for the support of the Jews in Palestine to emigrate to Palestine and carry out its plans to open a modern Jewish hospital in Jerusalem. Now, Dr. Wallach first opened a clinic and pharmacy in the Armenian Quarter in the Old City. He also worked in the Bikur Cholim Hospital as a women's and children's physician, an ophthalmologist, and surgeon specializing in neck surgery. He was the first to perform, let's say, trichotomies in Jerusalem and formed many, let's just say, I think, medical procedures in of itself. He returned to Europe, I think, in 1896 to raise funds for the new hospital, collecting donations in Germany and the Netherlands, Holland. And when he purchased a 10 dunam, 2.5 acre plot of land located 3 kilometers away from the old city walls, he registered land in his own name with the help of the German consul in Jerusalem. I think Dr. Paul von Tischendorf would also help him procure building materials from Germany. Now, Shaarei Zedek would have opened in January 27, 1902. At that point in time, 20 beds, an outpatient clinic and a pharmacy, with most of the hospital's patients leaving the old city a 20-minute donkey ride away at that stage in time. Very interesting enough, just to know there. And a dearth of in-whole house staff. Dr. Wallach often made house calls to determine whether a case usually warranted hospitalization. If transporting to the hospital would be dangerous, he performed curettage. Otherwise, he accompanied the patient on a stretcher bag to the hospital surgery. In addition to departments for internal medicine, maternity, and children, Dr. Wallach later opened an infectious diseases department, I believe, and which was, I think, the only one in Jerusalem to treat polio at that point in time. During the milk shortages of World War I, Dr. Wallach bought several milk cows and built a cow shed and grazing field for them behind the hospital. So you can see the great kindness work he did, just for Jerusalem in its own right, which we must point out a bit. And the herd was gradually increased to 40 cows and became a source of revenue, especially for Jewish certified milk sales during Passover, the festival of Pesach. Dr. Wallach, who for I think several decades was only in-house physician at Shaarei Zedek, ran the hospital as a strictly Orthodox institution. He insisted on strict Shabbat observance and a high level of kashrut in the hospital. And personally, he supervised the milking of the cows. He arranged for an electric generator to service the hospital so that it would not have to rely on electricity provided by the power station where Jews worked on Shabbat. He set aside, I believe, part of the field adjacent to the hospital and to the growing of wheat for Shmura Matzah, which we have on Pesach, and supervised the baking of matzot, I believe, for Passover. For Sukkot, he erected a 10-meter by 4-meter sukkah in the hospital courtyard to accommodate both eating and sleeping. And the language of the hospital, interesting enough, originally in the very early years was German or Yiddish. He didn't want to speak Hebrew, I think, at that point in time, the language of Torah study in a secular institution. That's why he looked at it. And I think before the rise of Nazism, Wallach, the correspondences were conducted in German. Now, afterwards, he would allow letters to be written in Russian script, a Hebrew typeface. That was, I think, initially. Obviously, I think now, everyone for many, many years, decades, they would speak in Ivrit. I'm not sure when the exact date was at that stage in time when they started that, but it would have been a long time ago, I would assume, also from now. Now, Dr. Wallach became a well-known and respected personality in Jerusalem. He was invited to every political and diplomatic reception that took place during the Ottoman and British Mandate periods. The British governor of Jerusalem, Ronald Storrs, was a personal friend of Wallach's. He expedited the doctor's request for the annual delivery of matzot to the hospital for Pesach. Dr. Wallach was also close to the leaders of the old Yishuv, including Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. He was also a friend of Jacob Israel Dehan, a political spokesman for the ultra-Orthodox community in Jerusalem, who was assassinated, reported over, in 1924, just outside the Shaarei Zedek Hospital. as he was returning to the hospital synagogue for the Arvit prayers, the evening prayers. It was reported over. He was, interestingly enough, he was the personal physician of many Torah leaders of the old yeshiva. Among them was a famous Rabbi Chaim Hesky Medini, whom he treated in Hebron. Remember, I think he was a chief rabbi of Hebron. Rabbi Medini was, and we've spoken about him. We recorded a video on him, I think, at one stage in the series. Another great rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, who was a rabbi of Jerusalem. He was another one. Also, Rabbi Yosef Tzvi Dushinsky, the first Dushinsky Rebbe, and Rabbi Solomon Eliezer Al-Pandari, another rabbi we've spoken about in this case, in this series also. He lived, I think, in the Ruchuma neighborhood, also known as Makor Baruch. He also treated King Abdullah I of Jordan. Now, Dr. Wallach also treated a previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. The Rebbe had suffered, reported, over a kidney attack, and Dr. Wallach was abroad and treated him and cared for him until he regained his strength. Soon afterwards, Dr. Wallach approached Rabbi Schneerson to request a manner of penance, a kapara. When asked of what, he replied from his presence that his presence caused the Rebbe's illness, given that God would not have allowed such an important leader, needed by all Jews, to become seriously ill without a doctor nearby. The Rebbe will actually recount this incident to his son-in-law, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who in turn recounted it in a public talk reported over in 1987 as an example of true humility and contriteness, respectively. In December 2012, Shaarei Zedek assumed operational control over Bikur Cholim Hospital also, and merged many of its activities. The hospital treats, in recent years, over 600,000 patients per year in more than 30 inpatient departments and over 70 outpatient units, and maintains a very active academic service as a leading research and teaching institution. Now, what's interesting also is that the Shaarei Zedek is classified as a public-private hospital, serving as a non-profit institution and dependent on donor support for the capital development, while offering medical care for the wider Jewish area community. So that's this was in recent times. It was talked over. I don't know what the official status is now, but they did fantastic work. I think it's located among two major campuses, a site between neighborhoods of Beit Began and Ramat Bet Kerem, in northeast of Mount Herzl in southwest Jerusalem. The downtown campus, formerly known as Bikur Cholim Hospital, located in the heart of Jerusalem's downtown commercial zone, which is very interesting. Now, the hospital has 1,000 beds, treats 500,000 patients a year in its inpatient and outpatient facilities. Unfortunately, there was terrorist attacks, especially during the second Intifada, I think, between 2001 to 2004. So Shaarei Zedek at that point in time, they would have to treat more victims than any other hospital in Israel. The hospital's trauma unit, located in its Weinstock department of emergency medicine on the Fania Gossersfield Heller floor, became a model of emergency medicine and handling large-scale mass casualty incidents. May we not see any casualty incidents in Am Yisrael, and everything just be peace, Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so I think it's a private hospital, as we said before. We said that it relies on funding from capital development projects. The Director General of the hospital was Professor Ofer Merin and Professor Jonathan Levy, who served as Director General of the hospital in 1988 until 2019, and was appointed as medical center's, let's say, president. The hospital maintains public relations offices in 10 countries, among them England and the United States of America. An interesting fact is that a high percentage of the hospital's physicians and other staff are immigrants, especially from English-speaking countries. Now, another famous physician from the Shaarei Zedek Hospital was a man with the name Dr. David Applebaum. Let's speak about him for a minute. He lived between 1952 and till 2003. He was a chief of the emergency room and trauma services of Jerusalem Shaarei Zedek Medical Center. He was murdered in a Palestinian suicide bombing at Cafe Hillel in Jerusalem on September the 9th, 2003. We see the disgracefulness and all terrorist attacks that's unfortunately hit Israel over the years, and he was a victim, of a doctor like him. He actually was born in Detroit, in Michigan. He attended high school at Hebrew Theological College in Skokie, in Illinois, and received his rabbinical ordination from Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik at the Brisk Yeshiva in Chicago. And Dr. Applebaum was a graduate of Roosevelt University in Chicago with a master's degree in biological sciences from Northwestern University. He also earned his medical degree at the Medical College of Ohio in Toledo, Ohio in 1978. He would emigrate to Israel with his family in 1982. He was killed along with his 20-year-old daughter, Nava Applebaum, on the eve of a wedding. You can just put a tear in one's eye when you hear this stuff. Dr. Applebaum had just returned from New York, where he addressed a symposium on terrorism marking the second anniversary of September 11 attacks on the United States of America. He ended his remarks with, "From one moment to the next, we never know what will happen in the ER emergency room, but it's in Jerusalem that real reality occurs." His murder was described by the Lancet as a tragic irony. This victim of suicide bomber was himself an emergency room doctor who treated victims of dozens of suicide bombings in Israel. In an incident reported over in 1984, Dr. Applebaum rushed to the aid of a man that was shot in a clothing shop, operating on him while the shooting continued. In 1986, the Israeli Knesset presented Dr. Applebaum with the Quality of Life Award for treating terror victims on King George Street in Jerusalem while bullets flew around him. So he was a real hero of Israel, probably one of the great medical heroes in world history, without a doubt. Now, he pioneered the idea of immediate care clinics in Israel to divert non-emergency cases from hospital emergency rooms while delivering faster care to patients who would have had long waits for emergency room staff. The British Medical Journal noted that Applebaum treated both Arab and Jewish physicians and nurses for a system of urgent care centres so that there would be staffing on the holy days of both religions. He was credited by the Lancet with transforming the delivery of emergency care in Israel. Now, Joseph Leha-Levi, the Director General of Jerusalem Shaarei Zedek Medical Center, called Applebaum a master of emergency medicine. He said that Applebaum had spent the last year upgrading the center's emergency room procedures and previously had set up a chain of small emergency care centers called Terem throughout Jerusalem. And I think the current rabbi of the Shaarei Zedek Hospital is Rabbi Yossi Sprung. He happens to be the rabbi of Shaarei Zedek Medical Center, the author of Medical Halacha on the Parsha. He's a founder of the Rosh Beit Midrash Gavoa for Medical Halacha, and a global community of Rabbanim, poskim research institutions, scientists, medical professionals, and lay leaders creating a worldwide network for medical halacha. He grew up in Jerusalem and attended yeshiva called Brisk, and he received a smicha from his Rabbi Asher Weiss, great Rabbi Hashlita, and other great rabbis from the land of Israel. From 2001-2003, he served as a Rosh Kollel in the community Kollel in San Antonio, Texas, upon returning to Israel. And he emerged as an authoritative voice in understanding the interface between halacha and emergency technologies, and he is regularly sought out as a speaker and advisor by Rabbanim, medical professionals, technology companies, and communities around worldwide. What we can also, yes, that's very interesting. Let's just go back to Dr. Wallak again, the founder. He manages the institution for 45 years, and obviously provided modern medical care to Jerusalem residents since his arrival in 1891 in the city. Obviously one of the personalities of the city in himself. The ethos of the hospital today was determined 100 years ago by Dr. Wallach, that's what the website actually says, and he integrated ancient Jewish moral spirit into modern medical service tradition, very much so. While fulfilling his daily tasks, he was practicing physician and a hospital director and became a role model, let's say, to those who followed him. He mixed freely with the elite, and thanks to his personal relations with local dignitaries, political figures, influential Westerners, and many others, he was able to successfully contribute to the growth and success of the hospital in of itself during the last century. He was involved with destitute new immigrants to the land of Israel and actively engaged in finding jobs, housing and employment for people. Arriving in Palestine as a young man of 26, his mission was to help his fellow man. He fought fearlessly against diseases, prescribing milk, meat, vegetables for malnourished, and making home visits by donkey. A medical pioneer, he performed the country's first tracheotomy and introduced inoculation against diphtheria. Throughout his long years of service, Dr. Wallach ran the hospital with iron discipline, traditional Jewish observance, and compassionate care over there. I think currently the hospital is run by Professor Ofer Merin, who's been at the helm since March 2019. And he took over from Professor Jonathan Halevi, who obviously ran the hospital since 1988. Let's say something again about Professor Halevi. He assumed the position of Director General in 1988, and Shaarei Zedek then was considered more small at that certain time, of a communal hospital known for its compassion for patients. During his tenure, he oversaw the opening of 26 new medical units. Today, the hospital, I think in recent times, according to the website, offers a care across all major medical disciplines and treats over 800,000 cases per year. I think this is a recent amount, so that's a staggering increase in those point in times. Shaarei Zedek has attracted many doctors who are regarded leaders in respective fields to head medical departments in the hospital with great academic and research activities in of itself. In 2017, Shaarei Zedek received accreditation from the Joint Commission International, JCI, which gave the hospital high marks and many accolades, and described Shaarei Zedek as one of the world's leading academic medical institutions. He had strong desire for the hospital to grow and really did a huge amount, made decisions based on what was the best for the population that they pledged to serve over there. I think Professor Alevi stated at the time, empathy is trying to identify what other is feeling. It is 117 years after Shaarei Zedek was first founded on that very ideal in of itself, respectively. You can see all the great stuff that he did at that point in time. And his role of developing and the growth and expansion of the hospital would give amazing opportunities set over to him to give back to the society, to the city of Jerusalem, and to the country. And that's very, very interesting. Now, this hospital is a hospital according to Jewish law, halacha. That's the characteristic of Shaarei Zedek. It was determined, as we said before, by Dr. Wallach. They have like strict certified meats, Mehadrin certified Haredi Badats, and hospitals ethics guided by Jewish law. For example, the hospital does not deal with autopsies and solutions surrogacy performed with approval of hospital rabbi. The hospital was designed and operates as a Shabbat observant hospital as much as possible, and they operate with Shabbat elevators, public telephones, and non-essential services are closed on Shabbat and Jewish holidays also. I think Dr. Rabbi Asher Weiss is a Halachic, gives the Halachic advice over there. And next to Shaarei Zedek Medical Center, there's established the Schlesinger Institute. Hospital's former director, Dr. Falk Schlesinger, which deals with solving, let's say, medical ethical problems in the spirit of Judaism. There's a synagogue also established on the hospital campus, and there's daily prayer services held constantly. There's kiddushes, Shabbat meals are held every Shabbat. And Rabbi, as we said, Yossi Sprung serves as the synagogue's rabbi. That we have to point out. Another character from the Shaarei Zedek Hospital is a man of the name Seligman Ber Isaac Dov Bamberger. He was, I think, born in 1807, passed away in 1878. He's a real early years. He was a Talmudist, a leader of the Orthodox Judaism in Germany, and his death he served as Rabbi of Würzburg at that point in time, but I think he was a consultant or an original, let's just say, inspirational head of the hospital. Let's just say in a bit. People would consult him, very much so. He commenced his yeshiva studies in Furth under Rabbis Wolf Hamburger and Judah Leib Helberstadt, and then he would receive his rabbinical ordination, and I think there was a university degree was required in 19th century Germany. He opened a general business store, I think in an area called Kitzingen, and the store was not successful, and he really preferred to study Talmud. He got married 2 years later to the daughter of Rabbi Sekel Wormser of Fulda, reported over there. So that's a very interesting tidbit also with regards to him. And more can just be said about him. Just a final word with regards to him. And I think there's a famous historian called Mordechai Brewer notes that he was known as one of the powerful Orthodox figures in Germany due to his business, which he aided the struggles of Orthodox community in Nuremberg, respectively. So that's very, very interesting. So we just, sorry, we were speaking about Seligman Bear Bamberger there, but there's another, I just made a mistake there, to be honest. There was another famous man, Abraham Grunbaum, who was an activist. He lived between 1885 to 1921, was a Haredi Jewish activist, and in the Agudat Yisrael, known for documenting the journey of the land of Israel in 1885 to purchase the building for Shaarei Zedek Hospital. Another key figure over here, which I have to point out. Much more can be said with in regards to him. He was another famous rabbi that was very much connected to the hospital. Remember, this is a hospital where Jewish law, Jewish ethics and morals is definitely a major component of the hospital over here. and you can see these famous personalities. Now, Abraham Grunberg, he studied in the first yeshiva. Yeah, so he was under great people at that point in time. Just to add on a few more words, I'm actually recording this live from the Shaarei Zedek Medical Center. So I think, the historian Dr. Mordechai Brewer would chronicle a lot with regards to these great personalities that, let's just say, they had in the Shaarei Zedek Hospital that was connected to them also. So that's very, very interesting. So, please learn more about the medical center. It's a special edition. We also recorded a video of the famous Miskav Ledach Hospital, if you watch back. So maybe what we'll do now is a special treat over here. We'll just explore a bit of the hospital as a special treat because we happen to be here at the moment. I just happen to be on the 9th floor in the birth unit at the moment. So we're just going to see some scenes, and we're going to conclude hopefully by seeing the synagogue also. So this is just as a special treat, just for all of us friends over here. Okay. So now we're in the medical center itself, so we're going to check it out. This is Shaarei Zedek Medical Center over here. Just doing a quick synopsis of the 9th floor. This is a new building over here. This happens to me. Friends, we're talking about the Shaarei Zedek Hospital, and you can see the donation plaques on the wall. And there happens to be. There's a lot of them, I think. A nice design mirror here. For example, this is the medical center itself. When you go down, you can see they've got nice plants over here. This is just, I think, the pregnancy unit. We want to be respectful. Our friends, we're speaking about the Shaarei Zedek Medical Center in Jerusalem, which was founded in 1902. You can see all those donation plaques over here. People that donated to the hospital all throughout the time. It's based, this hospital once again is based Ramat Beit Kerem Beit Vitan area. Got beautiful plants and a lot of flowery paintings here also, which we also have to point out. This is more foundation, SSA. It's just walking. The facilities are absolutely phenomenal in the hospital itself. There's more donation plaques here. Very decorated plants also over here, friends. As it's a special edition over here. We happen to be speaking about the medical center over here. I'm just going to hopefully take you guys to the synagogue. We're just waiting at the moment for the elevator over here. So we are very, very interesting. One thing we do on this channel is we like to explore all over Israel, different sites, the famous sites of Israel over here. So we happen to be in the main Jerusalem hospital over here, one of the most famous ones. And I'm just going to take you to the synagogue over here. Just last thing, it's interesting, they've actually got Shabbat hospitality over here in this hospital at a high level also, we have to point out, which is very interesting. On Shabbat, they've got free foods for people that want to come and eat. That's another thing they do. Excellent, excellent work. There's different chesed organizations. There's different kindness organizations here that come. They give free coffee, free foods. They donate free foods. A lot of kindness organizations such as Eze Mitzion, and there's entertainers that come to help the children over here that might be sick. They come and do shows with their guitars over here. It's real spirit, and you've got people speaking of different languages and many people of different religions also that come here and use the facilities basically. So it's very much, there's huge amounts of interfaith work all over the hospital being done over here, and it's like a beacon of of atmosphere where everyone can thrive. You've got doctors of all religions here also, which is something else that we've got to point out. and so on and so forth. So we have to point these things out within regards to the hospital. So this happens to be Shaarei Zedek. Shaarei Zedek, which means the gates of righteousness in English. That's another thing that we have to point out within regards to the words. So the words itself is that. Now remember, originally the hospital was situated in Jaffa Street, originally many years ago, back in the olden times, and just making sure this is going to so we're just going to go to the synagogue now and show you the synagogue. Okay, they have services, I think about 15 services a day. They have, like, for early morning prayers, maybe 3 or 4 minyanim. What's interesting about the synagogue itself is they provide a lot of kindness, like they provide tefillins, talits, if people want to do a lot of sidurim, people can daven and use while they're praying, and so on and so forth. So we're going to visit the synagogue now, over here. It's another ambition of ours. So I hope the internet connection is not going to cut out while we are in the elevator as we explore the synagogue. But we're touring the Shaarei Zedek Medical Center over here in Jerusalem, friends. Okay, everyone that you're live, please subscribe to the channel at the moment. I'm going to show you guys the synagogue. Okay, Mazal Tov. Mazal Tov. There's a beauty over here. People have joyous occasions, and you can wish them all a Mazal Tov straight away, and congratulations when you have a baby over here. Now we're going outside the synagogue area as a special treat, so we'll show you the synagogue. As you can see, they've got some beautiful paintings over here outside the synagogue, some Judaica paintings. And this is just a facility. This is a kindness organization over here. This is the synagogue itself. I think there's prayers now, there happens to be. And this is a view of the balcony over here, friends. Over here. I think we're going to leave it here. So please, friends, everyone subscribe to the channel. We're nearing, at the moment, they're building sukkah over here. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers. Thanks everyone for watching, and take care. Thank you.